Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is retesting a critical level on the price chart and is now forming a new price pattern that we need to pay attention to, while the price of Solana is now bouncing from this crucial area of support, and the price of XRP is forming a new price pattern, setting up possible new price targets. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and currently the super trend indicator is still in the green, indicating a larger bull market. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin price chart, at least for now, we're still lacking momentum in the short to mid-term relative to the weekly time frame. So the next few weeks, or possibly months, but at least the next few weeks, will likely be relatively neutral for the price, once again lacking momentum. And if we're looking at this weekly Bitcoin price chart, at least for now, we're still forming a massive bearish divergence, which is a possible warning signal to pay attention to. And so obviously not a lot has changed on the weekly time frame over the last one day. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin price chart, this is still showing pretty much flat momentum, basically no momentum to either direction, looking relatively neutral in the shorter term. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin price chart, we're still getting very close to a possible breakout for this massive bullish price pattern. But remember, this only confirms the bullish price target if we see a confirmed breakout, ideally with a 3-day candle close above around 110,000. So at least for now, that has not happened, which means we've not yet actually confirmed this bullish price pattern. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin price chart, when it comes to support and resistance, these levels have not really changed over the last one day. So I would still expect a lot of support at around 103,000 and 98,000 if the price were to get to those levels, and a lot of resistance at around 110,000 and 112,000 if we get to those levels, of course. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, the price of Bitcoin is now starting to form a descending parallel channel, which is effectively a bit of a bearish trend, as we can see. Now, of course, it's not a massive crash or anything. It's very, very slightly trending in the bearish direction, because once again, we're lacking momentum to either direction. And so it's almost a sideways consolidation, but we can see some slight lower highs and slight lower lows in the price, which once again is technically a bit more of a bearish trend. So keep that in mind. On the daily time frame, we're starting to trend more in the bearish direction, but once again, lacking momentum. And in my opinion, this is very similar to what we saw around the same time of the year just last year. As we can see in the price of Bitcoin, we saw basically a slight bearish trend, not necessarily a bear market or a major crash, but basically losing momentum, showing weakness for most of the middle of the year during 2024. And so we're potentially just in a similar stage in the market right now, where we're simply lacking momentum, showing signs of weakness, cooling off, helping to reset some of these price oscillators, but potentially, considering we've not yet confirmed a bear market or anything, it is possible we can continue the bull market later on, maybe in the next few months, or maybe near the later end of this year. And so at least for now, that is the current situation on the daily time frame and the larger time frames. And if we're zooming into the shorter term, looking at the 6-hour time frame, we've just over the last one day confirmed a slight breakout back above this area of resistance, which is now acting as a bit of support in the short term, and that's sitting in between around 108.5k to 109,000. So expect some support around there. We're currently retesting that level as of recording this video, but when it comes to resistance, continue to expect a lot of resistance at around 110,000 to 110.5k, and more resistance at around 112,000. And if the price confirms another break back below around 108.5k, in that situation, the next major area of support to watch out for is in between around 105.5k to 106.5k. But before we actually make it down to that level, we've obviously just discovered some new support here in the immediate short term if we break this level again, which is sitting at around 107,500. But remember, as I've been saying many times recently here on the channel, we're currently lacking momentum to either direction. So if we start to see a bit of a bullish breakout above a level of resistance, or a bit of a bearish break to the downside below a level of support, just keep in mind it's not likely that that will continue massively in that direction with a huge move towards the upside or towards the downside, because once again, at least for now, we do not have the momentum to carry the market very far. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, when it comes to liquidity, we still have a lot of liquidity building at just above 110,000. Around 110.6k is a major price target to pay attention to, but obviously between now and that possible price target, we have resistance to watch out for, where the price can struggle at or potentially reject from. But 110.6k is still a level to watch out for in the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and another level of liquidity to watch out for is sitting at just under 107,000. 106,000, around 106.7k to 106.9k approximately. And so at least based on the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, it is quite likely we could end up taking out both of these levels eventually, which suggests maybe a little bit more choppy sideways price action within a bit of a sideways price range to take out the downside liquidity and then ultimately take out the upside liquidity as well at some stage. And so unfortunately, that's simply the situation right now. But remember, potentially later in the year, we could likely see a continuation of the bull market, at least based on what we saw during 2024, a break from the bull market, cooling off for a period of months, which is kind of like what we're seeing right now, but technically still within the much larger bull market if we're zooming out looking at the bigger picture. And of course, if you want to get set up ready to go to take the next trading opportunity in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And personally, I'm taking a lot of my crypto trades over on BTNX, so I'll make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some massive trading bonuses, like for example, up to $45,000 in trading bonuses you can claim using the link below this video just by trading crypto over on BTNX, and also deposit bonuses. For example, if you deposit just $1,000, you get a $200 bonus into your BTNX account, but that's only available once again if you use the link below this video to make your BTNX account. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link below this video. And in case you're wondering, BTNX is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want BTNX as an exchange, there's also 2bit as another option out there, another exchange that I also use. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video. And by the way, if you use that link, you can also get some massive trading bonuses over there. And in case you're wondering, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, and at least for now, Ethereum is still within this same sideways price range in between roughly 2.4k to 2.8k. And so especially while Bitcoin is lacking momentum in the shorter term, basically consolidating sideways, we're likely going to see something similar for Ethereum, because usually Ethereum follows very similar price action to what Bitcoin is doing, not the exact same price action, but if Bitcoin has a major bullish or major bearish move, or is simply flat, either way, Ethereum plays out something similar once again. And when it comes to support and resistance, I would expect a lot of support in between around 2380 to 2.4k, and a lot of resistance in between around 2700, 2.7k to 2.8k. And I would expect a bit of short-term support at around 2.5k, as I've been saying recently here on the channel. And just over the last few days, we actually perfectly retested 2.5k, and we've now flipped that into new support. It was previous resistance over the last 1 to 2 weeks, but it's currently acting as a bit of short-term support at 2.5k. But honestly, there's not much else to add here for Ethereum. Nothing much has changed over the last 1 day. So without wasting any more of your time, getting straight into the price of Solana on the daily time frame. And what has just happened over the last 1 day is Solana is now once again experiencing a bounce from this important area of support, still sitting in between around 143 to 146. So just over the last couple of days, we retested that area, and we've now once again bounced from that area, which at least in the immediate short term is a good thing for the price of Solana, obviously, because if we were to see a confirmed break with a daily candle close below around 143, in that situation, we'd likely at least see a drop down towards around 138, give or take, based on this little low right here. But if we start breaking below that level, honestly, it's extremely likely we'll just continue down towards this local low that we set in around mid to late June, and that's sitting at around 131 if we're looking at the daily candle closes, or if we're looking at the candle wick low, that's sitting at approximately 126. And so those will be the next short-term price targets for the price of Solana if we first break below 143 to 146. But remember, right now we're seeing another short-term bounce from this area. So for now, that is still acting as significant support, still an area to pay attention to. And when it comes to resistance, I'd still expect a lot of resistance at roughly around 155 to 156, almost 157. So around there, roughly 156, give or take, expect resistance. And then a lot of resistance at close towards around 166 to 167. And in the immediate short term, honestly, we're simply just lacking momentum to either direction, looking very flat, as we can see, very neutral for the price. So it's unlikely we'll see a significant bullish move or significant bearish move over the next 1 day, especially while Bitcoin is looking similar in the short term, lacking momentum. And with that being said, taking a look at the price of XRP on the 12-hour time frame, and XRP, somewhat similar to Solana, has also recently retested a key Fibonacci level, now acting as support, and that's sitting at roughly around $2.20. So continue to expect support at around $2.20. And and we're currently on our way to potentially retest this significant area of resistance in the short term, where we've seen many perfect rejections from, and that area is in between around 231 to 235. And so continue to expect the price to struggle in that exact price range, and honestly, it's very likely that over the next 1 or 2 days potentially we'll continue towards that area, towards roughly 230, in the low 230 range, as I just said, and then once again we'll likely start to struggle in that exact price range, as we've seen many times over the last few weeks and months. But if the price of XRP actually confirms a breakout with candle closes, ideally on the daily time frame, confirming above around 236 give or take, in that situation, especially if we flip that resistance into new support, it's extremely likely we'll at least see a move towards around 244 as the next short-term resistance. But then above 244, the next significant resistance is basically this local high that we set back in the middle of May, and that's sitting at just above $2.60. Really in between around 260 to 265 would likely be a significant area of resistance as well. And while the price of XRP is slowly trending towards the upside in the immediate short term, we're possibly still forming a new rising wedge pattern just over the last 1 day. Obviously, I've now adjusted this line of support here on the 6-hour XRP price chart. Over the last couple of days, obviously, I was looking at just the 8-hour time frame, I believe, and I was looking at a possible rising wedge. But over the last 1 to 2 days, we saw a slight break to the downside. But now looking at this 6-hour time frame, we can see between these lows right here, we still possibly have a rising wedge to pay attention to. And so obviously, while this pattern is actually forming, we are trending towards the upside in the immediate short term, forming higher lows and higher highs. But statistically speaking, a rising wedge is slightly more likely to break to the downside compared to breaking to the upside. So it can break out towards the upside. It's simply that that's the less likely scenario. That's all I'm saying. But ultimately, in order to confirm any price targets or anything like that, or a trading opportunity, we ultimately need to confirm a break below support or above resistance to set up the next price targets. And of course, if we break below support, once again, with this being a bearish pattern right here, this will set up a bearish price target at the bottom of the wedge, sitting at around $2.09 approximately. And in case you're wondering, this line of support is currently sitting at around $2.23 to $2.24, and this line of resistance is sitting at around $2.33 to $2.34. And if we were to see a confirmed break below this line of support, we have to also remember that between the point of the break and the price target would also likely find some other points of support along the way where the price could possibly bounce at and fail to hit the price target. So as always, we cannot ignore support and resistance, and I would expect a bit of short-term support around these lows right here. So around $2.20, as I said earlier, and also at around $2.16 to $2.17. But in the meantime, while the price is still forming the pattern, of course, once again, we're still trending towards the upside, and it is very likely we'll soon retest this significant area of resistance, as I said earlier, and then expect the price to struggle in that area. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the 12-hour time frame, Chainlink, like I've been saying throughout the video for other cryptos, is lacking momentum. We're looking very neutral at the moment, not really bullish or bearish in the immediate short term, basically chopping around sideways in a bit of a sideways price range, as we can see. And when it comes to support and resistance, I would expect a lot of support in between around 1260 to 1280, and a lot of resistance in between around 1370 to 1390, because as we can see, we're slowly drifting towards the upside, forming some very slight higher lows and higher highs. So if you're wanting to know whether we're bullish or bearish, we're looking slightly more bullish than we are bearish. But remember, we're still lacking momentum, looking honestly quite neutral at the moment. And if we're zooming into the shorter term, taking a look at the 4-hour time frame, currently the 4-hour Chainlink RSI is retesting this descending line of resistance. So we're at a possible turning point right now for this bearish divergence. Obviously, over the last couple of days, we already saw the bearish divergence play out very nicely here in the form of a short-term pullback and then a little bit of choppy sideways price action. But ultimately, if we see a breakout here in the RSI above this line of resistance in the 4-hour Chainlink RSI, that would be a strong signal pointing towards the invalidation of this bearish divergence and possibly a bit more of a bullish relief towards some points of resistance. And in case you're wondering, if we were to see a confirmed breakout above around 1380 to 1390 above these highs right here, in that case, expect a continued move up towards around 1440 to 1450 is a very likely scenario, and then expect some resistance around there. But if we break out above that level, expect more resistance at around 1530 to 1550. That would likely act as significant resistance in that price range. But this is the time in the market where a lot of people are just getting bored and leaving crypto and stopping to look at the chart, stopping to watch these videos. But this is the time where you should honestly be paying the most attention while everyone is leaving the crypto market, getting bored with the current choppy sideways sideways price action, this is going to be where a lot more opportunities will start to arise when more people just start leaving crypto. Like for example, near the bottom of bear markets, that's where you see the most opportunities when there's the least amount of people. And so obviously, if you haven't already, make sure you get set up ready to go on some crypto exchanges using the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. So you might as well. And if you want to know how to trade crypto no matter what direction the price goes, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.